Okay, so hey everybody. I thought it seemed only fair that since I was asking all of you to do some writing and to share it with each other, that I be a sort of guinea pig too. So Sam, Diana, Jake, and I decided to model a writer's workshop for you to give you a sense of how we'd like you to talk about your drafts on Friday in workshop. So I'm just going to plunge ahead. I wrote a brief little essay here, which I will hand out. And I've also brought along some copies of the workshop guidelines here, which I know you're all already familiar with. But we will try to follow these and give you a sense of what it feels and looks like. So, as everybody knows, the question, as the teacher, I am adding to the regular list of questions is I'd like people to think about what the writer's project is, not just John Berger's project, but what the writer is trying to say. So I'm really interested, guys, to find out what you think I am adding to this conversation. And I have to admit, I think I end suddenly. This is a little short. It could be added to and developed, and I would be really interested to find out if you have any ideas about how I might do that. But otherwise, I'll just plunge in and start reading then. Okay? Okay, the title is Aura and Mystification. At the end of his first essay, In Ways of Seeing, John Berger acknowledges that many of his ideas build on those of another thinker, Walter Benjamin, who wrote a famous essay on the work of art in the age of mechanical reproduction in 1935, about 40 years before Berger wrote his book. Coincidentally, this is just about the same amount of time that separates us from Berger. Since this is, I think, the only moment in Ways of Seeing where Berger cites another writer approvingly, I thought it might be interesting and useful to see what had excited his admiration. I thus reread Benjamin's essay. Benjamin's essay is not a particularly easy one to read. In fact, I'm tempted to say that Berger improves upon his work. Benjamin's writing style is ponderous and scholarly. His references are now very dated. He divides his essay into 16 separate sections, none of which are very clearly connected to one another. And he writes as a Marxist and a Jew during the rise of Hitler. So his essay has a kind of apocalyptic tone that, while no doubt justified, Benjamin committed suicide in 1940 while fleeing the Nazis, also now seems overwrought. So Berger seems clear and accessible in comparison. But yet he clearly does owe a great debt to Benjamin, particularly for the insight that photography and film have transformed how we look at the other arts, since they've made what used to be the preserve of the wealthy and elite available to the rest of us. Berger also follows Benjamin in arguing against a view of art as a kind of religion. Benjamin describes the traditional function of art as magical and possessing a mystical kind of cult value. That is, according to Benjamin, art used to be imagined as something that only a certain caste of priests and scholars and nobility were able to understand and appreciate. By making works of art widely available, photography helped make it seem less mysterious. Berger's interest in demystifying art and connecting it to the experiences of ordinary people thus follows directly from Benjamin's earlier essay. There does seem to me a slight difference, though, in how Berger and Benjamin think about religion and art. Berger opposes the two as radically opposed. There is a bogus religiosity which gives some original artworks an incredible and false market value. Their economic value has its roots in a suspicious veneration of authenticity. We value the true Virgin and Child by Leonardo da Vinci in much the same way credulous peasants used to worship bits of the true cross. Real art, Berger suggests, should be open to criticism and analysis. But the key term for Benjamin is not religion, but aura, by which he means the individual presence or affect of a person. I don't think that for Benjamin an aura is always bogus. There's a moment in his essay, for instance, where he contrasts how we respond to the live presence of an actor on a stage with that of an actor in a film. In the theater, Benjamin suggests, we respond to the whole living person, the actor in front of us. In a movie, we respond to how the camera is framing and presenting the actor's performance. Consequently, the aura that envelops the actor vanishes, and with it a sense of intimacy and immediacy. We lose a connection with the actor. At the same time, we gain a more critical perspective through the distancing effect of the camera. In that sense, Benjamin's view of art and politics seems a little less black and white, a little more nuanced than Berger's. Or to put it another way, while it's hard for me to imagine how to argue for the plus side of bogus religiosity or mystification, Aura seems to point to something that's both a little troubling and yet worth valuing. I think that the closest Berger comes to this sort of thinking is when he talks about the stillness of some paintings, a presence, or perhaps aura, that is lost when reproduced on postcards and TV programs. I admire both Berger and Benjamin for how they urge us to become more skeptical about things like inspiration and genius, to trust our instincts when we look at art or read what experts have to say about it. But maybe we also have to think about what we still value in art after we're done demystifying it. So now it's my job to be quiet and give you guys a minute to collect your notes and thoughts, and then I'll take some notes. You guys are making me nervous. We didn't decide who would go first.
Okay, looks like choice is me.
All right.
So for your project, I was kind of getting it's the end sentence, but maybe we also have to think about what we still value in art after we're done demystifying it. Really stood out to me as something that looks like you're trying to ponder through by using these two thinkers' ideas, and like looking at what is the actual value of art. So I saw that as one of the parts of this project, and then looking at the connection between art and religion and politics, and like looking at how those three things, how you use these different concepts of mystification to discuss these things. That's kind of what I was getting from the piece as the main project. Some things about how to develop it further. Like I said, that last sentence just stood out for me, so I thought that's something you could test out more, like what is, looking at different examples of art pieces and looking at what is it that people are getting from these pieces, like looking at ways to test out that idea. I also really liked the paragraph beginning, second to last paragraph of the piece, with the key term for Benjamin is not religion, but aura. When you're talking about the theater versus acting in a movie, I thought that idea was worth expanding. Again, that's a place where the paper, well, that's a part of the piece I really liked. And also to look at the second paragraph. Sorry if I'm going a bit fast.
No, that's great.
The second paragraph of the paper, when you're talking about how Benjamin's essay is not particularly easy one to read, I was kind of want to know the significance of that paragraph a bit more.
Okay.
To explain the, I thought it's interesting information, but if you could tie it in a little bit more.
Okay,
Those are probably my, I think, 3 things I noted.
thanks.
Yeah, definitely. I really was interested in the project and how, like, I thought that you viewed Berger as an expansion of Benjamin, and I agree with Sam. Like, I definitely think that the second paragraph, like, you could kind of connect that more to Berger as well, and that would really improve the way, like, that connection between them. And let's see. I also like, it was pretty clear to me in the third paragraph, like, the where Berger and Benjamin are, like, their ideas are colliding and kind of working through each other. But I also thought, like, that could be expanded a little bit in, like, the second to last paragraph, where you're talking about, like, the difference between the camera and like the painting, and then, like, kind of going into, like, okay, like, where do Berger's ideas come into here, and, like, what what Benjamin is saying in that paragraph.
Great, thanks.
I understood your project to be, because Berger is so often critical of some of the authors that he cites, that he found Benjamin, is that how you say it? Yes.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
Okay. Because he seems fond of him, to reinform sort of your understanding of Berger's ideas by reading something that he cites, which I think is an intelligent project. I thought some of the most effective parts of the essay were in the first partial paragraph on page 2, in which you are directly referencing a piece of art to work through some of these ideas, and I would like to see more of that, perhaps another actual example, because it is very effective. And I did, in response to your concern over the essay ending very quickly, it does feel that it ends rather abruptly. And I'm not sure exactly where to go with it, because the idea, I see that you're trying to lead the reader sort of in a new direction and leave them with something to think about. But I was also wondering if just a few more sentences about what you think that value in art might be, a little more guidance for the reader there after we're done demystifying it. I just wanted a little bit more.
Great. Okay, my turn. Thank you, everybody, and you pointed to issues that were in my mind. I think I have an answer to why paragraph 2 is there, but I obviously didn't make it clear in the writing here. Which is when I reread this piece, and this was, I had reread The Work of Art in the Age of Mechanical Reproduction when I was studying film in graduate school. It's the kind of essay that people read all the time there. I had 2 conflicting responses. One was that Berger really is very reliant on Benjamin, and to some degree almost turns him too much into his own language, because we lose, like, this word aura, which seems to me to be important and different from what he uses. On the other hand, I think Benjamin's essay is needlessly difficult and diffuse, and so there's a way in which Berger really improves upon it and makes his work actually more accessible. It kind of does what he says he wants to happen with art. So I was trying to work through that kind of conflicting response as I was dealing with it. And I think that, I don't know, I felt a little shy about saying it as directly as I just did. No, I'm not really quite sure why, but I did. Yeah, I think right now I just sort of say, aura is a good thing, but only give a very quick, really Benjamin's phrasing of why, it's good without really an example. Actually, I imitate Berger by, the example of Leonardo is a negative one, right? So I need something that suggests why aura can help us look differently at art. So I think I would definitely need to do that. Maybe one problem I had with that there was that Benjamin is more interested in film rather than in pictures, and it's a little harder to quote that. But that I would have to figure out some way to do that. And finally, I guess the question I would have for you guys is, I was sort of hoping, as Jake suggested, that I could close somewhat abruptly, because I guess I'm not sure what it is that we should still value in art after demystifying it. So, I don't know if you have ideas about how, how I could add to that or develop it. I'd love to hear them.
I guess just for me, it was like, it's such a big question to like drop at the very end of the essay, that if you just give like one avenue that someone could go, like one path that you could like start to approach looking at it, not even like this is a possible answer, just like this is one way to think about it.
Right.
That might be useful.
Right. And I actually think I just thought of a way of doing it, and it's what Berger suggests, that one of the values might be that it gives us a different kind of language to think about our experience, right? So we demystify a certain kind of genius, inspiration, religiosity, but then we then connect it to experience somehow. That would help, bring it back to Berger's text too. Well, that's great. That would give me some ideas for developing this for sure. Anything else? Any other tips for me?
I also think it'd be a good idea to put images alongside the text.
Mm-hmm. It would be.
Yeah, like with the Virgin and Child, if you could have the image there.
Right. Yeah. And I was also, I was half tempted to put an image of Benjamin or Berger in there and so on. Yeah, I think that would be fun and maybe useful. Yeah, that's a good idea. All right. Can I have your notes? And I will use them. Great. Okay, and gang, I'm trying to look at the camera here, I can't find it. Those of you out there in movie land, that's the idea. We hope it was useful for you to watch it, and you'll get to try it tomorrow in your workshop. Good luck. All right.